Hi, everyone, and welcome to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good pal, John Taylor. Pal, how we doing?
Oh, Josh, doing great, especially after a perfect Packers win,
Hard to
baby.
beat it. You know, John, this is episode 10 of
Wow.
Don't Tell Me How to Fan. We made it a whole 10 episodes. And that had me thinking, why don't we just change everything up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just change everything. So here's what we're thinking for everyone who has followed us along so far. We really appreciate that. Instead of trying to do 2 half-hour episodes every week where we kind of get into what we want to and then say goodbye and then come back the next episode and kind of pretty much just start over with completely new stuff. We're going to just try to give you one episode a week that is a little bit more in depth, a little bit more fun, goes a little bit longer than the other ones did. And we'll also not, we'll try to have a little bit more fun with it too than just being like hardcore sports. Cause that's not something I love anyway.
Yeah. Part of the fun of getting off the radio is being able to do whatever we want, and talk about whatever we want for how long we want without
That's
ad
right.
breaks, without corporate overlords. So, I'm looking forward to just being able to hang out and talk sports with you, hang out and talk whatever we want. We've been friends for almost 20 years now at this point. So,
20 years. You
yeah.
know, I had a surprise, John, and I wanted to save this for later, but I'm going to do it right now.
Oh,
So
boy.
you said we've been friends for 20 years. And I was cleaning the basement the other day and I found high school yearbooks.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Now,
Oh, no.
now I found 2 high school yearbooks. I found my high school yearbooks and I found my wife Julie's high
Oh,
school yearbooks.
yeah.
Specifically, I'm looking at the one from your senior year,
Mhm.
my junior year,
Yeah.
where I found notes written not just in my yearbook, but in my wife Julie's yearbook
Yeah.
from John Taylor.
Mhm. I remember signing Julie's yearbook and your yearbook.
So let's start with mine.
Mhm.
John wrote, "Hey Josh, this year has been a blast from bowling to your confirmation. I'm really glad we got to know each other. With me definitely living at home, I'm sure that we will be hanging out just as much as in the future. You know, how to reach me, hit me up, John Taylor."
So
Okay.
phone number's still the same for the record. Don't dox me, but it's still the same.
Julie, you're such a stud, you.
Mhm.
I love that you work at Maggie Moo's, which used to be an ice cream place you worked at. Next year, I'm definitely going to some of your volleyball games. And by the way, we still need to go bowling. And then you gave Julie your number.
That's
and you
right.
said, call me. That is my number. No joke.
Great.
John Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess I'm just curious if you want to do the podcast with her instead of me. I can get her down
I have
here.
Julie's number now. I mean, we text more as adults than we ever did in high school, to be fair. No, I mean, I'm pretty sure I knew Julie specifically through Sam. You know what I mean? It's just if we're launching into high school, it's like Curtis played volleyball, and so yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Looking full circle, here we are. Like you said, almost 20 years ago.
Yep.
I don't know if that's actually true. I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was funny that I find these yearbooks and no, it's not just to me.
Yeah.
But to my wife, who we were not dating in high school, by the way.
No.
So
I was also I mean, it feels weird now because it's just
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
but I'm also now remembering too that I had a longtime high school sweetheart. I was 2 years in dating somebody. Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, oh, great, I'm being a creep. But it was I was not.
No, you weren't at the time. It's just funny how here we all are 20 years later.
Yeah.
And where the situation is.
I mean, you famously outkicked your coverage with Julie too. So it's
yes.
Yes. It's great.
It's not a secret. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. But not that I would have ever thought, hey, you know what? It's 2007 and I'm having my friend John Taylor sign my yearbook and thinking, you know what? In almost 20 years, I bet that I read this on a podcast we're doing together with also reading the note he left in my now wife's.
Yeah.
Full circle. It's fun.
Full circle. Yeah.
What was also fun, transitions, was today's Packers game.
Oh boy, was it?
Now, I gotta say, I wasn't worried at any point. This was just it was just a fun win. It was just like hey, you know what it felt? It felt like an entitled Packers fan win. Like the Packers are playing a home game against a team. They're going to beat that team and we're all going to have a great day. That's what it felt like the whole time. Was just that type of game.
Yeah.
Which I love, and also not something I've been necessarily used to with because there's always been questions. We're always thinking, is Jordan Love the guy? Are these receivers going to be able to do good? Is Josh Jacobs going to be, better than Aaron Jones? What do we do? Is Watson going to stay healthy? There was none of that for me today. It was just this team is just going to go win a football game.
This is the most complete Packers win, probably since the Vikings game last year. And if you want to discredit that win because of who was on the field for the Vikings, it was probably the Chiefs last year.
Sure.
I mean, it's definitely been
a minute. That Vikings game was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So was that Chiefs one. I mean, so was that Lions Thanksgiving. I mean, there's a lot of fun games last year. So believe me when I say I'm really happy to see them get back to that point because they absolutely can.
But did it feel like that to you? See, to me, like even last year with those games, every single game, I was worrying about something. I was judging something. There was a side quest. It wasn't just focusing on the game and the potential outcome of the game. There was always well, how is this person going to do? I didn't have any of that today. It was all just, okay, this is the team. They're going to play, and they played well. Yeah. I love that. I feel like it's been a long time since I've been able to do that. Like Rodgers' third to last season, maybe.
Yeah. What is the second MVP season? Yeah, it's been a long time. But I mean, like, this is how they should start looking. Every year you start with a new team, you have to relearn how to win. Obviously Jordan Love going down, probably delayed, but we're sitting at 4-2. I think it should have been 5-1. My score prediction going into the season. I mean, the podcast wasn't starting, but I was telling people I thought we'd go 5-1. So to have Jordan Love miss two games we won, and still only be one game behind where I thought we would sit, I feel really good about it. I mean, yeah, it's absurd. It's the most entitled Packers thing of all time. To go from Favre to Rodgers to this, and to just be perennial contenders for a playoff spot. It's like besides the Steelers, I don't know of another team that just makes it year after year. We've
I mean the Patriots for a long time, obviously, but not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean, yeah. So I just mean the longevity of it all has been great. And so yeah, I mean, it's back to business as usual, baby, as a Packers fan. We better be competing. So but I will say this, the Packers have earned the right or should be expected to be held to a higher standard because of the way they finished last season. You just don't string together games like that in that kind of order. And I know there were some clunkers in there, but the team performed at a really high level, and they showed that the floor of their play was higher than what we probably previously thought going into the season at the start of the season. So while, we dropped a couple games that I think if that game was even in Philadelphia, I could see a world where the Packers win. The field conditions were that terrible. And I know we can say don't make excuses, but we're 6 weeks away. Like there were I rewatched some highlights from that game like a few days ago.
There were a lot of mistakes though.
Don't get me wrong, but it's like they were still in a position to win. You know what I mean? We can always talk about it, but at the end of the day, same with the Vikings game. Would it be different? Sure, but the Vikings easily could have just continued to embarrass us at home.
True.
And they didn't. We only lost by 2 points. So it's like, I understand that context matters, but I will also say the team's great. They're a very talented football team, and they need to get out of their own way, and they finally did that today. It was awesome. I mean, even just like looking at the penalties, I think you want to talk about like an inexperienced team, man. The Cardinals, man, woof. They're a pretty inconsistent football team. So.
Now let's also talk about. All right, let's bring it back from the fun we've been having. Realism check. Okay, so their offensive line was hurting.
Yeah,
they have Marvin Harris Jr. go down. I mean, it's not like they were playing at full strength.
Sure. But they also don't have nobody. I mean, it's not like Trey McBride is still there. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not make them a top 10 offense going into that game. And that's what they were ranked heading into the game,
Right.
top third of the league. So, well, I do appreciate the fact that, or can understand and empathize with the fact that they lost probably their biggest playmaker. Kyler Murray's still there, he still is the type of quarterback that traditionally has always given Packers fits. We've never really handled elite rushing quarterbacks well, and we did it today. So I feel it feels really good that way. So while I definitely understand your point, I just think like such a thorough ass kicking needs to be celebrated. Winning's hard in this league, and you don't apologize for wins. And whether they're the most talented team or not, they're still professional athletes, So I thought it was great. I was trying to look at the penalties. We talk about the Cardinals had 13 penalties for 100 yards. Yeah.
And some of them were, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that was luck. But a lot of them weren't too. I mean, they played sloppy ball. Yeah. And they had guys slipping and and so did the Packers. Packers had that too.
I mean, Jordan Love doesn't have an interception if our guy doesn't slip, Right. I think Bo Melton probably catches that ball. It was a dart. It was a dot. It's just unfortunately, you slip and you fall and you
right. And then he ended up throwing it right to the defensive guy. Yeah, I know. It's so things happen both ways. But like you said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the Packers played a great game.
Yeah.
It's not like that, I think you said that it was like a perfect game. It wasn't a perfect game.
I guess complete. When I say perfect, I mean complete.
Yeah. I mean, there were still things that we can take away from this game and go, okay, well, that wasn't, we need to work on that. We need to.
Yeah.
But that's always going to happen. That's always happened. That's, you can nitpick a bunch of things. But at no point did I feel like, oh boy, here we go. This team's going to blow it. They're going to let off the gas. It's gonna they're going to get my blood pressure back up. This is what they do. Breathe.
I
didn't get to that point. At no point was I shaking or convulsing. It was really
well. What really helps with that is two forced turnovers. After we take that commanding lead, I think like they had the Cardinals strung together two pretty nice drives to get that in the third, and then they got a field goal on one and then stalled out from fumbles. So, I mean, it's easy to feel good about a game when the time they're supposed to be coming back, they're just handing the ball over. I mean, some pretty incredible stuff too. I mean, Evan Williams punched that ball out perfectly. Yeah. Just so awesome. Great. Yeah. And then who's the other one? Carl Brooks. Was that the other one on the line? I know Kenny grabbed one too, but I think didn't Carl Brooks force one? That's another one, man. I really great. I don't know what it is about the Hafley scheme that is just getting guys in positions to make plays on the balls, but it must be a point of emphasis in the coaching. But they're getting after the ball in a way that we have not seen a Packers defense do it in quite some time. It's awesome.
So one of the big headline stories, if you're trying to find a side quest to this game, was the Romeo Doubs show.
Yeah.
So did not play last week. The report said that it was because he was unhappy with the game plan, blah, blah, blah. And then like literally right after the game, it was like, oh yeah, no, we're good. I thought that was very weird. Yeah. And there was really nothing else to it. Like Dobbs' answer about it was kind of like, yeah, I mean, everyone's making a bigger deal about it than it is.
Yeah.
I hated that we didn't get more. I understand that we don't need more. Like we don't have a right to know more, but I wanted it. I wanted to know more. Why the hell were you so upset that all this happened?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw his interview at his locker before the game. I think this would have been like Friday, I think was the interview. Yeah, I wasn't in love with his answers. It was a lot of like, at this time, I just don't think I'm going to talk about it. And somebody else said a different question. He goes, I just don't think I'm going to talk about it. And then it's like, I'm just not going to talk about it. And then he kind of said something to the effect of like, I had a lot going on. So I mean, you never know. I'm hoping he's okay. It is no
Well,
secret that athletes suffer from like mental health issues, and it's often stigmatized. So whatever is going on, I mean, to have it result in insubordination that causes a suspension is frustrating. As a fan, it's frustrating
yeah.
because ultimately you're getting paid a king's ransom to play a child's game. So, let's
But does not, like, if you knew that that was the case, does it change everything for you? Like, if you knew more details, that's my whole thing, right?
Mhm.
Is that yes, we say like you're getting paid all this money to play a kid's game, but really I just want to know what what is happening. What is it
Yeah.
that you are going through? I'm gonna have more compassion, more emotion towards that
Yeah.
reason, as long as it's not a bull crap reason, which
Yeah,
again
I
is
yeah,
subjective.
I mean
But
that's a really interesting conversation, right? Like at what point does an athlete sacrifice privacy for transparency? I mean Romeo Dobbs has chosen the route of privacy, like whatever I've got going on. And I think he knows that if he came out and had a stinker of a game, he was going to be held to a pretty high standard,
which he
and
did
look,
not.
which he did not,
He had a great game.
only three catches, but when two of them are touchdowns, that's a
That
pretty
helps.
vital part. Yeah. Um, and I think the transparency angle is, so what, you spill your heart and expect people to forgive you, support you, but at the end of the day, they don't know you and you're still an athlete. And if you don't perform, then people are going to be screaming for you to get cut. It's a lose-lose situation because it got to that situation. I think ultimately, I don't know what happened that made him skip practice for 2 straight days, but you know, I believe him when he says he's ready to move on. I believe the organization. I think
Yeah,
Matt Laf-
I just think it's tough because if he doesn't say anything, but the reports are out that, he's unhappy with things, like, if
yeah,
that's incorrect, and then we don't hear anything disagreeing with those reports, and I'm just being told, like, "I'm not gonna talk about it," and you're blown out of proportion, and
hmm
I'm just happy to be back with the team and, focusing on football. Well, then I gotta go off of what the other guy said, because
hmm
there's nothing else for me to even go, "All right, whose story do I believe?" I'm only
right,
hearing one story, and you're just
right,
saying, "Who cares about that story?" Well, maybe I do,
yeah,
and I get it.
yeah,
He's just saying, "Well, I don't care what you think," which is fair, but I'm a fan, and don't tell
yeah.
me how to fan, Romeo Dobbs.
Don't yeah. Well, he could be like, "Don't tell me how to play," but he
I
wouldn't
will
say that.
absolutely tell you how to play. Play better, you
Yeah.
know? Play the
Yeah,
game.
I'm gonna choose to just let it go on. He's not a problem. He's not a problem player. This is
Well,
so far out of character that he came back. His teammates love him. Matt
right.
Lafleur
We
seemed
saw You saw that
eager and
post
ready.
game in the
Yeah,
locker room.
yeah,
It did not look like anyone, it was not, and Romeo Dobbs back with two tutties, and it wasn't like a golf clap for him,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
everyone was super
yeah,
amped for him, so
yeah,
whatever was going on, his teammates are behind him, which
yeah.
we should also take into account as fans.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder if, like, obviously getting suspended is a problem, but I kind of wonder if players view it kind of like contract negotiations when players hold out. Like you always hear like former athletes be like, yeah, if a guy wasn't around because he was negotiating his contract, we all just like go get your money. And it's like, I do wonder if there's an angle of like at the end of the day, all you can do is just like focus on yourself and you hope as a team you can like figure it out and you come back and you're selfless again. But I mean, really, it's like, who knows how much these guys held onto that? Like, do you really think Dontavian Wicks or Bo Melton or Malik Heath were really upset that they got to be bumped up one on the depth chart?
Oh,
Like, what
sure.
are we talking about here?
That's not, yeah.
And they got the win too. So it's like, I'm not to say that action shouldn't have
Winning helps
consequences,
everything.
but
Right.
to win without him against the Rams and to win with them, it's just like, great, let's just get back on page and keep moving forward. And
Just keep
I
winning.
mean, all you can really do is just, like I said, trust. I trust Matt LaFleur implicitly. If he's saying we're good and we're on the same page and we're ready to go, track record also shows that it was the same thing with Jair Alexander. So we'll see. I mean, I don't want to relitigate it fully in that way, but I mean, like I said, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's producing. That first catch was awesome. The second one was incredible. I mean, that ball Jordan Love threw was absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Um, just a 50-yard, both feet off the ground, falling backwards. Just to even put it in the realm, it really speaks to his ability to kind of make every throw in the league. So it was great. I mean, that's a great way to come back. So
I want to also talk about Watson today.
yeah,
Because the Love to Watson connection was sexy.
yeah,
It had me feeling things. And I every time I get really happy with Watson, I go,
mm-hmm.
man, just imagine if this was like all the time with Christian Watson. Because when he has games like this and catches, and I mean, Love threw a pass to him in like triple coverage. He threw it like right over a guy. I mean, it was just a beautiful throw and catch. And it wasn't even the touchdown. And I'm just like, man, this could be, because we don't talk about Watson.
No.
When you're talking about the receiving core, you leave him off because he spends so much time on the sidelines. And so you talk about Reed. Oh, okay. Well, Reed, Dobbs, and then Watson. Man, what he did today was beautiful. I want more of it. I want all of it from Christian.
I mean, I know he does too, right? So, I mean, I'm just glad that it wasn't a high ankle sprain. There was reports that people seem to really think he damaged it. His dad was on Twitter responding to Twitter doctors being like, "That's not what it is. I know for a fact that's not what it is." He had a back and forth with one of them. It was pretty funny, and he was like, "Well, I think I would know," and then he was just like, "Okay," and then I think somebody was like, "That's Christian Watson's dad. I think he would know what the injury is," and then so. But he's back, and that's awesome. I mean, he is going to be. He's a game changer. We talked about it last episode. He's too fast. He's too strong. He's too tall.
Too furious.
He's too and he's all about family. And
that's
so,
right.
I mean, the way he celebrated that Dobbs touchdown, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, dude, 4 catches, 1 touchdown. That 44. I mean, that play was beautiful. The deep post. He gets him. Buda Baker 1-on-1, and Buda just is so far off him. He just outruns the coverage perfectly. So it was a beautiful touchdown.
It was.
I mean, Jordan Love was, yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week, and I'm going to take my little victory lap. I said, next week, which is now, I was like, this would be the 6-week timeline for him to be healthy. I want to see him get back to where he should be. And boy, did he,
Yep.
He looked good in the pocket. I think his hitch looked good, throws were in rhythm and in timing. And I think like when plays broke down, he was able to reset. I mean, he had a lot of time back there. It was pretty remarkable how much time he had. That throw to Romeo Dobbs, they brought it was like a zero pressure. They sent everybody, and he still was able to get that ball out. It was incredible. So
I do have to say there were a few throws, and I was watching the game for part of the time with our friend Brian, and we both noticed it, and we were both talking about it, how there's just some throws that you really wish that Jordan would just bullet it in, and they're kind of these fluffers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on. I don't know why he does it. And it's me being picky because it's not like it burns him a whole lot, but I feel like it's been that way the entire time he's been a starter. It's not something new. It's always been that way. I remember it was any deep pass. It was, God, what? It's a 50-50 ball every time because everyone is to the ball by the time the ball gets there. And not that it's that case anymore, but we've seen that he can rip it. And so I just want to see more of that. I don't know why it doesn't happen. I would need like a quarterback expert to be like, well, because XYZ. But yeah, I don't know why. And there were examples in this game of passes that I'm like, yeah, just bullet that in there, buddy.
Yeah. I think it's like I feel like a lot of times it's like choice. He can absolutely spin it and really kind of rifle it in there when he needs to. What I realized last year watching him was just that he has such a big arm that he makes throws look fairly effortless. So I'm like having to recalibrate how I expect the ball should be leaving his hand. And obviously spending 17 years watching the same guy do it over and over again, you kind of expect it to look a specific way. Sure. But it hasn't hurt him yet. I understand wanting to see some more zip on the ball, but I just think he's probably I think he's driving the ball so much harder off his hand than Rodgers did for most of his career, just given by the arm strength talent alone. So yeah, I mean, I hear you. I think it's that's like a big improvement of his game. I think that'll be the next step is just kind of understanding route anticipation, how he can really kind of manipulate and kind of exploit defensive positioning and schemes. But yeah, I mean, this is some pretty nitpicky stuff from a guy who went 22 for 32 with 258 yards, throwing yards, And he set a first half like record, right? I don't remember what the official first half total was, but I heard that stat that he set his personal best in this game. He threw all over the yard. So yeah, it was great. I mean, also to credit to him, he's the first guy since Favre to throw 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not nothing to shake a stick at either,
Right. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So overall, though, good things. Offensively,
yeah,
good things. Let's talk defense.
Would love to.
A lot of times I feel like when we do this, we like barely get to the defense. And John Taylor loves defense.
I do love defense.
He loves it.
Well, I don't know.
Give it enough time.
No, we don't. I don't know if I love defense. I just think
love it.
I do.
I love it. You love defense.
Okay. I love defense. I love trying to see the part of the ball that needs the most work that isn't named Brandon Narvison. So yeah, I would say I do love defense. How can you not love defense when they are winning the turnover differential at an incredible clip?
Braden, by the way.
Well, I said Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon.
He can. You know what? When he stops missing 40-yard field goals, I'll start pronouncing his name correct. How's that sound?
Fine with me.
Yeah,
I don't really care. I don't like him.
I mean, yeah, so. it's rough.
No.
But yeah, defense.
Yeah, defense.
Defense. I do love defense. I don't. Yeah, it's. I'm kind of going back to it's just a really complete game. I mean, they had Nixon on the boundary a lot, which meant Javon Bullard was in the slot a lot, playing big nickel. My favorite.
A lot of big nickel.
I've been talking about it a lot. Yeah, they're just getting their best guys out there. I think it's like really impressive. I'm really excited about how much they're attacking the line of scrimmage. I just think like for the longest time, we've just allowed some like lesser players to be on our team for the sake of continuity or, draft pedigree. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, they're just playing really, really well right now. I think I'd be curious to know what they're going to do moving forward. Is Keyshawn Nixon going to stay on the boundary? Is that the idea? Do they think Javon Bullard is more valuable? I mean, Evan Williams clearly needs to be out there. If they're going to be in nickel, then I think, yeah, you're going to see Keyshawn Nixon on the boundary. If they're in base, I'd be curious what that looks like and who's going to be the personnel in those situations. But I mean, right now it's a nickel league. When they talked about switching back to the 4-3,
you hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. They say it's a nickel league.
They say it. Yeah, many people are saying
it. People are saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess my point is just that you got to get your best guys out there. And at 68 weeks into the season, I think it's becoming very apparent that a lot of our best guys are rookies or new players to the team. Like if you look at the total tackles today, Quay Walker, 11. He's the middle linebacker. He always has the most tackles. But Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams. Those 4 of the top 5 tackle leaders of this game were rookies or first-year players with the Green Bay Packers. That's not nothing. That is Gutekunst saying our defense is not fast enough, athletic enough, talented enough, and boy, did he answer. I mean, I just keep thinking about it. The safety room last year was Darnell Savage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just bad. Dallin Levitt. I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. And I was really terrified how you fix such a terrible position group.
And also there's emotional scarring.
Yeah.
From past Packers defense teams. There was one play today where it was soft coverage and they gave up like an 8-yard pass. And I literally called out like it was Joe Barry type defense. And Brian, of course, said to me, he was like, no, yeah, but if that happens like the next 4 plays in a row, then I'd be worried that we're sinking back into Joe Barry. But to just know that like that triggered something in me because I watched it for so long that I went, no, don't do that. We cannot do not go back to that. And we didn't. You know, you can't once in a while you gotta switch things up. But yeah, it's great. And they'll put things together. If I'm gonna complain about anything, which of course I'm going to,
of course,
I still wish that the pass rush, I want, and I get forcing Murray out of the pocket, but that's he doesn't mind doing that. He scrambles. He loves that. He whoops all over the place.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the point, right? Gary and Preston are.
I want him on the ground. I want him
that's
collapse the pocket around him to where then he is sacked on the ground behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I know there was
no sacks.
Yes.
Between either team today? No, yes. I'm just saying, but that's crazy. That is crazy.
It is, but I'm on one hand, I'm glad that there were none for the Cardinals, but I'm really pissed that there weren't any for the Packers. I want to see this defensive front get quarterbacks on the ground. Don't just pressure them out of the pocket, because I feel like more and more quarterbacks are learning to be able to scramble and run, and there's not a lot of stay in the pocket quarterbacks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So pressuring to go outside and roll isn't. I mean, it's better than giving them all the time in the world, but they're learning, they're adapting.
Yeah. Well, I'll
see the ground.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I'll say this. Keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket and forcing him to throw the football like a starting NFL quarterback got you a win 34-13.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't throw any picks. He didn't throw any good balls either, So yeah, it's not fun. It's not a sexy brand of football. Like, you want to see sacks, but sometimes
is that so much to ask for, John?
The win is the thing to ask for, Josh.
Yeah, and I got the win. Okay, you gave me my slice of apple pie. It's good. I like it. I just want a scoop of ice cream as well.
I'm worried about your heart. Don't do that. Ignore the scoop.
You
dude.
Should be. That we all
ignore this. Ignore the scoop. No, I get it. I think they did exactly what they needed to do. I honestly feel good about the way the line played. I mean, ultimately, you're talking about not a lot in the way of rushing either. The team, they had 89 yards of total rushing between their 3 running backs and Kyler Murray. I mean, that's pitiful. We had 90 more yards, and that's like on a ho-hum, Josh Jacobs, 18 for 62. I mean, let's talk about Emmanuel Wilson. I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit, but let's talk about Emmanuel Wilson.
That's a hard pivot. Yeah.
It's a hard pivot, but I think it's worth it. Emmanuel Wilson, we were wondering if he was going to even make the team or not.
Fair.
And with Marshawn Lloyd going down, everyone said, is Emmanuel Wilson a different of enough back for it to matter? And I mean, he is absolutely showing you that he belongs in this league. He went 7 for 54 yards. He averaged 7.7 yards a carry. And that isn't on some like 2 or 3 trickeration plays. He rushed 7 times. You know, that's incredible. To ask out of your, this is what we wish AJ Dillon was doing, as our backup.
AJ Dillon could never do that.
I know. I mean,
2 completely different running backs.
Right. One's good and one's AJ Dillon.
Well, okay. I mean, first of all, ouch. Second of all,
you're not AJ Dillon.
You're right, but like, come on, man. No, I'm kidding. No, it's very, very accurate. But because he was a bruiser, he was supposed to be the 3rd and 1 guy, and then we made our primary back the bruiser, the guy that's going to be able to push through, and then we had the sneak through and quick, whip whap kind of guy was our backup, was our secondary running back, which is different. We haven't had that, in years, because we had Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones isn't a bruiser either. So switching that up personally, I was worried about it because I was like, that's not the way you do it. You
Mhm.
want to have if you're going to have that secondary guy in, you're going to have him in on 3rd and 1s, not 1st and 10s. So that doesn't really make sense. But it's been working, and
Yep.
Emmanuel Wilson's has been great. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know what complaints you could say about the guy, especially considering the fact that you could have had Jacobs and Jones, which still would have been so sexy. That would have just been amazing.
You got to let it go.
I can't.
You got to let it
I
go.
refuse. I am
All right.
stubborn. I'm not going to let it go. I'm very happy with how
Mhm.
things are, but man, can you imagine how good it could have been?
How good it could have been. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yes,
Yeah.
Emmanuel Wilson's doing great. Big fan.
Yep.
Proud of him.
Yeah. Should we get into some stuff we're not fans of?
Yes. Should we have it be a segment, John?
You know,
should we have this be a featured segment we do every show?
I think so. At this point, yes. At
Okay.
this point, yes.
You know what I'm not a fan of, John?
I don't know, Josh. What are you not a fan of?
I'm not a fan of hosting a birthday party during the Packers game.
Oh, brother.
Rough
Yeah.
stuff that happened today. Jordy, my first boy turning 8 next week. We had the party this weekend, and the party technically started after the Packer game. But people were like, okay, but like if it starts right after the Packer game, then I'm gonna either be late to the party or so it was like, well, if you want to watch the Packer game here, you can, absolutely. But then I'm running around and I'm making sure people have drinks, and I'm feeling like I gotta talk to, hi grandma, how you doing? Saying
Mhm.
and I just want to be sitting, not talking to anyone, freaking out, screaming at a television. And I can't, because that's the other thing too. I can't even fan the way I want to fan because my family's sitting here. So I can't be like, God, what are you doing? Stop it. I got to just be like, all right. Way different way of watching. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Do you take any solace in the fact that this was a pretty easy breezy game? Could you imagine what would have happened if it was a more stressful game?
I would have ended up leaving the party, my own party. Like
Yeah.
the party that I was responsible for hosting, it would have been, where's Josh? I don't know, probably freaking out watching the game in a different room. That's how it would have been.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the fact that it was a little bit easier, but
yeah.
I still don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't even like going. I've had friends be like, do you want to go to a bar and watch the Packers game? And I was like, what? Do I want to go somewhere where it's really distracting and I can't hear the TV? Like, give me a break. There's only 17 of these a year. Like, get out of my face or sit down next to me. Like, that's about it. I don't want to make an event of it. I mean, listen, my only advice to you is just cancel Jordy's birthday. Hold him back.
Going forward.
Hold him back a year and just pretend like he never aged. I'm sure there'll be zero repercussions.
None. No.
Right.
Therapy. What is therapy? No, that won't be a case. Look, the big mistake was we didn't do it on Saturday.
Yeah.
We should. You don't do it on a Sunday. You do it on Saturday. And we knew better, but we didn't. We did it on a Sunday, and this was the plan. But I'm not a fan.
I wouldn't be either. Like I said, I completely understand. I mean, that is one of the few joys about being on the West Coast is that Packers games start at 10 a.m. for me. So they're usually done by like 1 p.m. So I can mostly get a lot done. I mean, full disclosure, I had to watch the game. I had to rewatch the game after. I'm still dealing with my bathroom reno. I had a buddy of mine just hit me up randomly and be like, hey, I can go to the dump today, or I can't go for another 4 weeks. And I had to get rid of a 60-pound cast iron tub. It was way heavier than 60 pounds, to be honest. But so, yeah, I mean, real life calls. It's annoying. I mean, I think really Sundays should be national holidays during the NFL season. Like, what are we doing here?
Everything should stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the banks are closed. Right. Why am I being forced to not watch the games?
You're making great points.
You know what I'm not a fan of?
What's that, John?
I'm not a fan of Xavier McKinney's freaking interception record being broken. Did I think he was going to intercept a ball every game this season? No. But as a fan, I really wanted him to.
Yeah. And this one felt like a game where it could happen.
Yeah, they're down by how much? Like how
They got to be chucking the pigskin. No running the ball. They got to play catch up. Opportunities. Right. There were opportunities where I'm watching that going, where is he? He should be there. He wasn't there.
Yeah. At some point, you have to stop playing selfless, fundamental football, and you got to just go get a streak that I want to see. You know what I mean?
Thank you. It's about damn time you say something on this podcast that makes sense. Okay? It took 10 episodes of bullshit for you to finally say something that I can agree with. My Lord.
Yeah. Yes, as a fan, damn
you listening, Xavier McKinney? What about us?
Yeah. What about us, your fans?
Give me a break. John, you know what I'm not a fan of?
What are you not a fan of, Josh?
I'm not a fan of the fact that the Packers are 4-2 and tied for last in the division. Seeing that is brutal. Look, I talked on past episodes about the fact that the Vikings are scary, etc., blah, 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 all this. But just seeing, the stat came up today, both the Lions and the Bears also won this week. The first time since 2002 that a division had all 4 teams have 4 wins or more in the first 6 games. And I'm like, just seeing the Packers at 4-2 and be the last team on the list of the 4 teams, I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad.
There's like
I'm not a fan.
There's like a non-zero chance that all 4 teams in the NFC North make it in the playoffs. That's how good the division is. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to beat each other up at some point. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff is going to level out, but yeah, it's not great. I mean, I don't want to actually your point, but the only reason it's 2002 is because that's when the conferences realigned.
Right.
The divisions. So it's like, who knows how long it was before, but
I'm just saying, they weren't tracking it. They weren't tracking it. Right.
Yeah. In the modern era, it never happened. It has not happened with this current alignment of team. It's absurd. It is. And man, boy, you want to hop around the NFC North, dude. The Lions absolutely embarrassed the Cowboys today.
Did they get McCarthy fired?
I think they did.
People be talking.
People, when I say many people, it's usually a joke. Many people are saying, I mean, actually, though, I mean, Jerry Jones is looking for a reason.
On his 82nd birthday.
Yeah.
Might have actually not been today, but they're celebrating it.
Yeah.
And
kind of like
a whooping.
Yeah.
From the Lions.
I bet you he wishes he was in a Jordy situation where he could barely watch the game. Jerry Jones. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad. I mean, Big Mike might have got fired. I think Doug Peterson. I was like, is this going to be the second head coach in a row that goes to Europe and then gets fired shortly after?
Maybe.
I mean, the Jaguars are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're awful. And this is what we were hoping the Bears were. Now, for the record, the Bears have also played like garbage teams.
Yeah.
The records of the teams that the Bears have been beating. But it doesn't matter. They're still winning the games.
Yeah.
To put themselves in the same position as the Packers are is super frustrating, John, and I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either. I'm trying to think. Last week we kind of did a little bounce around to see what the next 5 games of the Vikings look like. Let's see what our stiff competition. They play the Commanders. That probably could be a loss. They play the Cardinals. Then they play the Patriots. Then they play the Packers, Vikings, Lions. So I think water is going to find its level because then they go 49ers, Vikings, Lions again. So they got a couple gimmies, and then they are in NFC gauntlet hell. So,
right.
I don't know, but I don't like it either. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of being 4-2 and feeling like there's no separation in the division. No,
way less than there being no separation. It's you're still playing catch up.
Yeah.
It's crap. Okay, we gotta find a way who can get a loss, who can give this team a loss. And the Packers got the Texans coming to town, who won 41-21 over the Patriots today, going 5-1. I understand the Patriots suck. They're 1-5 now. But still, the Texans have looked like a great team all season, besides the week they played the Vikings, and the Vikings embarrassed them.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah.
That's not a walk in the park.
Nope. I mean,
Not a
originally,
fan.
not a fan. I mean, I originally, I mean, I guess we'll do a score prediction at the end of this, but
Yeah.
this, I mean, no spoilers, but this was a game that I had originally penciled the Packers losing. Um,
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you feel dumb now that didn't happen?
Well, we haven't played the Texans yet.
Oh, I thought you meant the Cardinals.
Oh, no.
Okay,
The Cardinals are
'cause
bad.
I was
The
like,
Cardinals are bad.
why would you possibly?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Cardinals have to do so much right to look like a good football team. That's like the thing. They're so inconsistent that as not sexy as the rushing, the sacks weren't, it's just one of those things that they have to do. Like I said, they have to do so much right to just look okay, and they just can't do it. So, yeah, I feel good about it. I mean, should we litigate who gets the point for the score prediction?
Yeah, let's talk about what happened with our score predictions. So if you don't follow us on X, which will also be Twitter, it's Twitter. Yeah. It's Twitter to me. Okay. It will always be Twitter to me. I'm at On Air Josh. Yes, I'll change it eventually. Everyone calm down. John, you're JTVXVT.
So close. JTXVX. Yeah.
That's what it was.
You just spell it out.
And if you want to follow the show, it's at Sports DT. No.
MHF. Yeah.
No.
Don't tell me. Nope. It's not.
That's not it. Sports Not Done Yet Media. Sports NDYM.
Yep.
That's
the
it.
Sport. Yeah.
We made that super clear, and now everyone understands, and they're like, "Thank you, that was super clear." But that's where we posted our score predictions for this last game against the Cardinals. John, you said 31-24. I said 28-21. Total was 34-13. So I don't know where you want to break it. I mean, as it is, we were pretty close.
Yeah.
With our score prediction.
Yeah. You thought they would score. Yeah, I mean, I guess we were pretty close. I don't know. I'm just glad we won. I don't know. We got to figure out how to actually quantify our predictions so we can actually decide a real winner or not. Do we support?
I just kept going that like we both lose until someone hits, or it's like really close.
Okay, because it's the fact it's like a review in football. We don't have clear and concise evidence to overturn a call. So it's a no call. Okay.
Like even if you would have said 34-24, I would have been like, well, you nailed the Packers score.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But we both said wins, and it was a win.
Yeah.
And so that I was a fan of.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I got me thinking about the Texans. I got me thinking about next week already.
Yeah.
God, it can't even enjoy the win for a day. You got me thinking about this matchup next week.
Yeah.
Boo. They play the Texans on Sunday, October 20th.
Yep.
I don't have a line on the game. Do you know a line?
I don't know if they come out this early.
Probably not.
Maybe. I mean, it's at home, so usually there's a 3-point advantage to the Packers. I would say I would bet the Packers are like 2.5 point favorites. Do you have an easy way to check that? I don't gamble, full disclosure. I'm too lazy to set it up.
Packers are 2.5 point favorites.
Called it.
Wow. You sure you don't gamble?
Yeah, I'm sure.
He doesn't gamble.
He
definitely just knows the spread perfectly. Keep using the quotes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, right. A home team usually is a 3-point favorite. Usually if it gets down to like half point or a full point, it like 1 or 1.5, it's because either the other team is so clearly head and above better, or somebody on the Packers would have to be like a key piece. Like when Jordan Love went down, those got pretty aggressive. But head to head, I mean, you give the advantage to the home team.
Do you want to do your prediction? Because I'm going to give you mine and have it tie in to a point here as we get closer.
Okay, we might be making the same point, so I'd be very curious. Don't say your point until after you give your score.
Okay,
like until I give my. Let's do both of ours, and then we'll follow up with the point.
Packers lose 31-28.
That's funny because I think the Packers are going to lose 34-31 for the same reason, which is Braden Narvison.
Yes,
is
the
going
Narv
to
dog.
The Narv dog is going to cost us this game.
How long do we have to suffer through this before they just and everyone that's like, well, who do you want him to sign? Freaking anyone else. Just keep trying, guys.
Yeah.
Don't make me think it's not they don't need to know the playbook. Can you kick a field goal or not? It's a simple position. If this guy didn't work, go get somebody else. This is not a situation where I think, look, he's a kid, he's got the yips. If we dropped him, he's gonna go to some other team, he's gonna figure it out, he's gonna be best kicker in the league for years to come. That's not what this is. The guys that we had on this team kicking, we decided both weren't good enough.
Yeah.
It's not that we went, well, they're good, but this guy's great. And so we're going to say goodbye to those guys. No. Those guys sucked. He sucks. They all suck.
It's looking like
damn ball.
It's looking like Greg Joseph probably out of the 3 should have been the one we kept. It doesn't matter. It's not good enough. I hear this argument all the time. And it's like I also hear this argument too. It's like with the Bucks. I'm hearing people argue about our 8th and 9th option off the bench. And it's like, hey guys, here's a crazy idea. Stop worrying about who's getting minutes and start wondering why our bench depth isn't better. And that's how I feel about the kicker. I don't care. They're both not good enough. They're both not league average. So I appreciate getting Narveson in. I'm glad that we didn't decide to just stick with Carlson for another season. But like you said, they got to figure something out. We lead the league in missed kicks. I'm sorry. I've never heard of
Don't apologize. I fucking hate that. Don't apologize. There's no reason to apologize. You don't have to be sorry.
It's okay. I appreciate that. But what I meant to say was, I'm sorry. I've never heard of reports of a kicker missing wildly in practice. Be so vocal and on air. The commentators, Braden Narveson, terrible warm-up session. Couldn't really hit the ball through the upright. It's like these dudes are supposed to look like basketball players just draining threes.
Because that's their job. They have one job, kick the ball. That's it.
With no defense. Kick the ball through the uprights. He wasn't making them in practice. Why did we think it'd be any better?
And don't give me that, well, then you go do it. No, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to play a sport.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
they are. Kick the damn ball.
And also, he's not being held to a standard to himself. He's being held to the standard that's league wide. He's not an average kicker in this league.
He's being held to a standard less than the league wide standard.
Yep. So I don't know. I mean, the Packers, I don't know if you remember this. The Packers actually brought in the kicker that the Cardinals used today, Chad Reeland. He came in the offseason. They moved on from him, but they brought him in because their kicker was injured. If he comes back,
Prater, right?
Yeah. Can we bring Chad Reeland back? Who else is around? Brandon McManus got cleared of all those charges. I don't know. The Packers would have to do some investigation there, but they got to go get somebody. And it's getting to the point where they might have to spend more draft compensation on trading for somebody. Because if we go into another playoff run unsure of our kicker, we will lose games from it. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and that might happen next week. We both predicted that's going to happen in 7 days.
Well, and the biggest problem is it's not like he's right now. I know. It's not like he's missing
Narveson.
If it was a 50-plus field goal, I go, okay, these are 50-50 balls, but 44-yard field goals are gimmies in the modern NFL. And it's not a gimme for our guy. And it wasn't a gimme for our last guy. So who's at fault here? Is it Gutekunst? Is it Bisaccia? How much?
No, I don't. But I don't know how it's anyone's fault but the kicker, because all it is kick the ball. The only other excuse you can have is bad hold, bad snap, that type of. None of that is happening.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
happening.
all on the kicker.
Yeah, I guess I just meant how do we keep
getting guys?
I'm just trying to figure out
someone else.
I'm just trying to figure out how we got to this point. You know what I mean? That's
more
of what that question is like.
We moved on from Mason Crosby. That's the answer.
Well, his leg was failing him as well.
Yeah. And
he wasn't the best kicker, but he could make he made big kicks. And we just haven't found a guy who can make big kicks. It's really frustrating.
Well, big kicks are important.
I agree.
Today's miss, not important.
No.
Next week's miss, very important.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I will say this about next week. I feel it just is like I mean, we talk about the Vikings. The Vikings game, if he would have hit one of those field goals, we wouldn't have lost that game. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard. It's hard. It's not fun being in the position to say we are playing a team we're on the equal footing with, and then being like, but our kicker is going to lose us the game. It sucks. I mean, like Nico Collins is out. They're dealing with injuries. It's not like they're a perfect team right now either. Granted, they're 5-1. We're 4-2. We had this conversation about the Vikings. I was like, the Vikings lose a game, all of a sudden we're only one game back. Yeah. Yes, we're like last in the division, but it's not insurmountable. It's not like the Texans are.
We're literally right there.
Yeah. I mean, they beat up the worst team in football. I guess the Panthers are probably, but you get my point. The Patriots are pretty bad too. Yeah. On a Drake May debut. Like, go figure that game went like that. So I don't know. I mean, I predict that the Packers are going to lose 34-31, but I will say I can see a world where the Packers win this game by like a touchdown, that it's maybe a little more convincing.
If they win this game, it's not going to be by 3.
No, it'll be, I think it'll be,
you take that to the bank right there. You take it in, deposit it,
take it in, send it in. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Narvison ain't winning a game.
No,
might lose a game. He ain't winning a game.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, dude, Matt LaFleur, coach of the year. This is his year. I'm tired of the disrespect.
Don't say that.
I'm tired of the disrespect.
We're 6 weeks in. Don't start handing out end of season awards 6 weeks in.
Matt LaFleur, coach of the year. Take that to the bank. And here's why I'll say that. Because I'm a fan of Matt LaFleur.
Was that a me impression?
Yeah, take that to the bank. Yeah. Take that out of the bank. No, I just think, listen, his offensive schemes are insane. I've never seen wide receivers this open. They're so open. Yeah. The only reason Jordan Love is not getting more completions is because they're just dropping the balls. They're not blanketed coverage. The schemes are insane. He's coach of the year. Mark it down. Take it to the bank.
Through week 6, absolutely. Yeah.
Man, his eyebrows are going to look perfect on that stage, accepting the coach of the year award.
There's a lot of ball game left.
There's a lot of ball game left, but I predict we lose. I still feel good about our chances to win. I just think
after this week, I'm not saying that they can't win. I'm saying that there's a huge glaring problem. And I think it's going to be the downfall against a really good Texans team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm predicting. And I'm not a fan, John. I'm not a fan of Braden Narvison. Not a fan.
I'm not a fan either.
You know what I am a fan of?
What?
Everyone who stayed with us through 10 episodes of Don't Tell Me How to Fan. I appreciate everybody who has watched us talk about goofiness. Hopefully this new thing we're trying, going a little bit longer, being a little bit more us and not as professional sports dummy people, works and people enjoy it. Please let us know. Comment below. Give us your comments. We're also going to work on that. We're gonna be getting. We're gonna read comments and
a little more
tell
time.
You how wrong you are and stuff.
A little more time will allow us to be a little more interactive. Kind of create the atmosphere or whatever word you want to use.
Create that
community. That's the word.
Yeah, that community atmosphere.
Ecosphere.
Yeah, that's what we'll have.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
It'll be great.
It'll be great. So thank you everyone for staying with us and giving us a try. We do appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, because we are not done yet.